All right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Phil Rudd of Brunswickagnculture. I'm here today with Natasha Crawford. We're sitting at her residence where she craft brews beer. And so today we're going to talk about what that looks like and ask her some questions and get to know her. We'd like to thank 105.3 The Choice for always sponsoring our show. You can check us out online all the time, streaming live, www.1053choice.org. And we'd also like to give a big shout out to Mike King Biz for putting us on today and letting us know about The Choice and mentoring us through this. So today, again, we're here with Natasha Crawford, our local home brewer, and we're enjoying the finer things, I guess, in life. So welcome, Natasha, and thank you for having us into your house.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm excited to have you here. You and I have been talking, and both being military veterans, we share a lot of things. So yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it, Natasha. How long have you been brewing, and what has you in this artistry?
So I've been brewing since 2017. My first kit I brewed was a honey ale. I started off doing like partial mash extract brewing. And that first kit, that beer turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to brew beer. I've always, liked beer, was very interested in the process and how brewers can develop these flavors. And then just learning about a lot of the different styles that are out there across the world, actually. So once I graduated, my wife bought me my first kit, and from there it was over.
Okay. You said once you graduated, graduated from?
So I graduated with my master's in public health from Creighton University.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I was working full time, living in New York at the time, working full time and doing my master's program.
Okay. And so you went from public. Wait. Say that again. Public
health.
Public health administration.
No, just master's in public health. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My concentration is health policy and ethics.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So now you're just gonna brew some beer.
Well, I still currently do work in public health.
Okay.
I do love it. I do love being able to help people. Especially our communities.
Right.
Providing that assistance and that knowledge. So I do love doing that because I do think that health is a very important thing, and that we can have balance in everything.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I do. I love brewing beer. I love being able to experiment with different hops and grains, and just coaxing and developing the flavor that I want the drinker to get.
Right. Okay. So this is more instead of beer. I'll say as a Marine vet, we talk about beer, and
Oh yeah.
we were founded in a tavern. This isn't crack one open, chug it down beer.
No,
right?
no, yeah. This is, I want you to understand and get the profile that I'm brewing. So whether it's a profile that's coming from the hops or the yeast, you can coax different flavors and aromas out of the yeast just by the fermentation temperature. Okay. So whether you ferment high or ferment low, that yeast can develop, certain yeast can develop certain flavors.
So you're more like a chemist. This is
Kinda.
your at-home chemistry project.
Yeah,
huh?
It is. I mean, there's just so much to learn. And when I talk to people who say they don't drink beer, they're usually have had maybe the domestic brands that I in the Army drink those.
Right. Yeah, no shame. No shame.
But when I tell them, or when I introduce a style to them, like, so say for instance, sours, sours are a good segue into craft beer, I think, for a lot of people, or just maybe your lagers. And then they realize that, this beer can have so much flavor. It doesn't have to be bitter, it doesn't have to be very hop forward as far as the flavor goes. So yeah, it is something like a little chemistry lab.
Right. Now, okay, real quick, when we talk about like fermentation though, that does some stuff beneficial to your stomach as well, doesn't it? Like
sure, certain fermentation processes, like if you're doing like kombucha and yogurt, you got your pre and your probiotics in there. But so this step in fermentation with beer, that process of the yeast eating and churning up those sugars in the wort, which is just the wort is what you get after you boil the grains, and then you can add your hop additions in there, but the yeast feeds on those sugars and the enzyme. There's enzyme action in there during fermentation, but usually at the end product, fermentation has stopped.
All right.
So once you're ready to probably bottle or keg, fermentation has stopped. So it's not where beer will, have some of those still have some of those beneficial microbes and all that stuff in there. Because in beer we don't want that.
Okay.
We don't want any microbes.
Right.
That's why I'm very meticulous about cleaning and sanitizing. Before the day on brew day, I wash and sanitize everything again.
Okay.
Because you want to make sure that once you introduce that wort to, say, my fermentation bucket, I want everything to be clean, pure, and just have that yeast in there and let that yeast do its work.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. Natasha, again, we're here sitting on the deck enjoying the weather today with Natasha Crawford. And I just like real quick before we take our first break, Natasha, go ahead and tell us how we can find you online if we want to taste, sample, or learn, ask some questions.
Yeah, so you can find me at The Beer in the Garden on Instagram. I'm on there. I'm always posting about the beers that I brew. The process. I show the process sometimes.
The beer in the garden,
that's one of my stickers, my home brewing stickers. But I also, part of that is I share my gardening. Gardening is something that I've been doing, for a very long time. Remember gardening with my great grandmother Bessie in Georgia. So that's where I learned a lot of that stuff. So. All
right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk to you about the fact that you are a Georgia native. You're not a Virginian, but this craft beer is enjoyable, and we would like to come back after we take a break and talk with you about the beer and the garden. We'll be back with Natasha Crawford. We are Brunswick Agriculture here today with Miss Crawford. Have a good day.